Continuing the previous video's theme, this upload explores British children's shows that for various reasons are unusual. The last list focused on 90s puppet shows, however the list is far broader this time. The only requirement is that they fit the brief set by the video's title. Despite their absurdity, several of these titles are reasonably well known, such as Dick and Dom in the Bungalow. The two titular hosts and several young guests partake in a series of bizarre games in a studio bungalow, mostly involving being attacked with food or slime, while various distractions happen. Puppets appear. Now well-established comedian, actor and taskmaster Greg Davis briefly enters an episode to feed lettuce to an elderly man who is dressed as a tortoise and pulls ridiculous faces. Additionally, Dick and Dom perform scenes where their heads are attached to action figure bodies, their voices are made insanely high-pitched, and one of their characters typically ends up farting dramatically. The most iconic segment shows the duo in a candid camera prank show public environment where they shout the word bogeys at increasing volumes. Its most bizarre attributes are all of the above and more. But it's hugely entertaining, the madness and variety holds viewer attention, and the enjoyment of hosts and guests alike is clearly genuine. Those with fond memories of the show are advised to revisit Dick and Dom in the Bungalow. It's telling that such a strange show would receive mainstream recognition, at least in the UK. Some recognition was also generated by another strange show entitled Boobah. Aimed at a much younger audience, Boohbah shows a group of rotund, large-eyed, mouthless, technicolor flying creatures who produce musical notes from their heads and dance to whimsical music while making farting and squeaking noises. As you can imagine, it's very story-based. There are also separate narrated segments where humans who never speak react to a gift that was sent to them by children. Its most bizarre attributes are the entire show and the fact it exists. Being outside of its target demographic when it was released means I rarely watched, though I was very aware of this show. We actually joke that in hindsight, my brother looked like a Boobah when he was a baby. He wasn't technicolored, at least not after the first few months, and he couldn't fly, at least not more than once a week. But in every other way, the resemblance was uncanny. I wanted to include a photo as proof, but he seemed apprehensive about the idea, so I've decided to respect his wishes. Also, I couldn't find one that would embarrass him enough, so there's no point. The Boobah's movement could temporarily entertain any age group, but it's unlikely to provide any longer-term entertainment for anyone past preschool age. The same cannot be said for the storymakers working through the night till the rising sun. Set in a library in which two puppet monsters, Jelly and Jackson, and a magical human come to life at midnight and create stories on a special computer. There was an alternating group of human characters that included Milton Wordsworth, played by Red Dwarf's own Danny John Jules. It's a strong concept that allows variation because the stories are presented in different styles. Several of these stories and their styles were the main source of the show's weirdness, and the fact the level of weirdness fluctuated drew more attention to the strangest of the tales. A regular fixture was Blue Cow, Blue Cow. It was a self-explanatory name, she was obviously a yellow pig. Bizarrely, the series came out when I was 7, and several people I know, roughly my age, maximum of 2 years difference either side, remember watching this. Why were we watching a series that was shown on a preschool-focused network? The series promotes creativity and the power of storytelling, so all age groups are likely to see the value in its message, but unless there's that sense of nostalgia, it's unlikely to be actively enjoyed by any non-children humans. It will be enjoyed by non-children blue cows though, who are just glad to be finally represented on TV. Sorry yellow pigs, your time will come. If older British TV interests you, which it possibly does on some level since you're watching, please consider my British children's TV playlist linked in a card above. Several beloved shows of the genre are reviewed there. The one that isn't mentioned there is Button Moon, an earlier production from Ian Allen, who also created The Spooks of Bottle Bay, which was mentioned in the last video. A family of extraterrestrial kitchen utensils travel to Button Moon, and in between adventures, view events from a telescope from which they occasionally watch fairy tales. Fairy tales hugely interest me because I don't have, what are they called? Friends! The show's definitely inventive, but the limited production can be distracting even though a lot of the design choices are admirable. Though in the show's defense, young children around at the time it was made probably wouldn't notice details like this. The character designs and combining of unrelated ideas are among the show's weirdest attributes, as well as specific scenes, like when main character Mr. Spoon gets stuck in a token blancmange and is rescued by sentient gingerbread men who make a ladder out of chocolate fingers. I remember watching the show with a friend whose relative was appalled that as teenagers we were watching a show intended for young children. I dread to think what he'd say now, 10 years later. He'd probably say similar if I was watching Wizadora. Originally conceived in 1991 to teach English as a second language and then modified in 1993, this series follows a trainee female wizard, her scarecrow friend, and several puppets based on inanimate objects or animals. It wasn't airing often by the time I started taking an interest in TV. I might have caught half an episode when I was extremely young, but I imagine its sense of whimsy and charisma would have meant I actually enjoyed it if I actively watched it in my youth. The show's main weird attributes are the aforementioned puppets, which are admittedly brilliantly designed and I quite enjoy them, though I can imagine they'd terrify anyone who generally dislikes puppets. Oh botheration, it's almost the end of the videofication! A reminder that my previous Weird British Kids Shows video are linked above and in the description. Clips or often full episodes of every show mentioned can be found on YouTube. I should finish by thanking Robert Brooks. Even though I was familiar with Boobah, I didn't think to include it in a video until his comment. Feel free to name any British TV shows you feel are weird in a comment below because I will gladly make another video on this topic. Thanks for watching, and if I don't see you next time, I'll assume you are frantically hunting Google to find out whether yellow pigs have ever been represented on TV. I know I will be. Wizadora, we adore her, doing things in her very special way. Wizadora, nothing surer, she's the one who can brighten up our day. But we've been to Button Moon, we've followed Mr. Spoon, Button Moon, Button Moon, Button Moon.